Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we're looking at Mangara of Corondor. So Mangara is a 3-mana white commander, it's a 1/1 and it has tap, exile Mangara, and target permanent. So as is the case in real life, it's important to note the location of the colon. The colon appears before exile Mangara of Corondor appears in the text, meaning that you tap and then this ability all resolves at the same time. Meaning that if we have a way to untap Mangara before this resolves, we can activate it again. Or if we have a way to blink or bounce Mangara, then we can resolve this ability without Mangara actually getting exiled. To that end, we have some blink effects. We have Ephemerate and Cloud Shift as the cheapest blink effects that we can get. We also have Acrobatic Maneuver and Scroll Shift, which, albeit more expensive, also draw cards. And then we have repeatable blinking effects in Eldrazi Displacer and Gilrain. We also have Rings of Brighthearth over here, which we can use to activate the ability again. Over here in the Untapper section, we have many cards that allow us to untap Mangara, mostly in the form of one-off instants, but there are occasional repeatable uses like Magerite Stone and Thousand Year Elixir. Now, aside from that, let's explain our combo. So our combo mainly revolves around Village Bellringer. If we have creatures sufficient that we can produce at least 2 mana in the case of pairing Bellringer with Gilrain, or 3 mana in the case of pairing it with Eldrazi Displacer, then we can continuously blink and trigger Bellringer, untapping these and our mana creatures over and over and over, which will allow us to activate Mangara infinite times, exiling all of our opponent's permanents, including their lands. And if we have mana creatures that produce 3 in the case of Gilrain, or 4 in the case of Eldrazi Displacer or more, we can also generate infinite mana. We also have, since we're running rings anyway, Basalt Monolith over here, which we can pair with rings in order to untap and retap Basalt Mana infinitely, allowing us to generate infinite colorless. Aside from that, we have a number of draw spells, including cards like Welcoming Vampire and Enduring Innocence. This is also another means by which we can draw our entire deck. So let's say we have one of those infinite blink combos. We can also blink Welcoming Vampire, Enduring Innocence, etc., and that will reset the one-time only trigger for the turn on these cards. Or if we have infinite mana, we can just use Mentor of the Meek as well to keep triggering. We do want to make sure that we can activate Mangara immediately and not have to simply pass the turn and wait, so we do have a number of methods of getting haste. Pretty straightforward lands, with the obvious and notable inclusion of Sanctum of Eternity, which we can use to bounce Mangara back to our hand in response to activating it. Some protection spells to make sure that Mangara doesn't get killed or countered, including the Moms and Haystack as another card that we can use to phase out Mangara, which will similarly render exiling it obsolete. A bunch of ramp spells, which, as previously mentioned, includes a number of mana creatures. A little bit of removal, which also, if in the form of creatures, pairs well with our infinite blinking shenanigans, so we can blink Loran, Skyclave, and Witch Enchanter. A little bit of stacks, although we can't really afford to run all the stacks we normally would, because a lot of our combos and other things that we're doing are in direct conflict with these cards. So these are the ones that we get to play. And then in considerations, there were obviously a few more exile spells that I could have possibly run in the deck. Ultimately chose not to run these since they were less efficient than the 1-mana ones like Ephemerate, but also didn't draw cards like the 3-mana ones. It's possible that perhaps it's more worthwhile to play cheaper blink than necessarily draw cards with the cantripping ones, but my instincts are that in all likelihood, we want the ones that are on 1s and 3s and not the ones on 2s. So with all that said, that is going to do it for Mangara of Corondor in EDH.